Welcome to this week's version of Beyond the Badge. Today we're talking about policing in real time, and today I'm joined by Sergeants Max Todd and Richard McLaughlin. Thank y'all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So for those who are not familiar with the Real-Time Crime Center, tell us about it. We'll start with you.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us on. So Real-Time Crime Center, what you can kind of know about it is kind of built into the name. And it's becoming a pretty common thing across police agencies. Real-Time Crime Centers, the basic gist of it is you have 911 calls made to the police department, fire department, EMS, the sheriff's department. And when a call is made, the Real-Time Crime Center can see that that call has taken place. And what we like to do is look at whether or not we have some kind of surveillance camera, for instance, in the area where we can kind of give officers or fire department or EMS an idea of what they're getting themselves into. Ideally, the way it would work, just as an example, is if there's a car accident, we can maybe give some footage to responding officers before they get there, which can kind of close the gap of questions they might have about how it happened. In the case of something maybe seen as like really serious, like a shooting or something like that, we can maybe tell responding officers, hey, the guy that you're looking for, he's running north up this street. So that's kind of the gist of a Real-Time Crime Center in a nutshell.
Nice. So, Sergeant Todd, talk to us about the importance of having something like this, and this, the first one in Columbus, in the city. Tell us about the importance of it.
So, back before we had a real-time crime center, and way back before we had a whole lot of different technologies available to us as police officers, and Sergeant McLaughlin probably feel the same way about this. I kind of mentioned this earlier when we were talking beforehand about efficiency. It's really important to, and as most people in the city have known, we were down on of officers we had. When we have a lower amount of officers, we need better technology to make up for that. So going back to the efficiency part of it, back when I was a police officer on the streets almost 20 years ago, knowing ahead of time what I was looking for on the way to a robbery or on the way to maybe a serious traffic accident, would have given me a lot of hindsight to work on and prepare for before I got there. So this day and age, if we have for instance, a business involved with the Real-Time Crime Center, have their cameras linked into our center, if they have a robbery or some kind of event happen at that business, we can pull up their cameras and try and see what's happening in real time, or right after real time, to give that officer responding that information. So in my time when I was in patrol, I might have driven right past that robbery suspect. I might not have known it was a white Ford Explorer that just robbed this bank or robbed this gas station. But now, with the amount of cameras and coverage that we have the ability to potentially give that information to the responding officer and give them a heads up to improve their safety and their efficiency on the investigation.
Officer safety. That was a thing that I definitely want to talk about, because, again, our officers prior to this, they, like you mentioned, they wouldn't know what they were walking into a lot of the times, right? And so how do you feel, Sergeant McLaughlin, about officers feeling safer as they arrive to calls and not necessarily having to possibly drive past someone who just committed an armed robbery?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what Sergeant Todd was saying, there's probably been many times in all of our careers in policing, and even today for police officers, where they don't know that when they're getting on scene, in some cases, that perhaps the suspect or suspects is someone they've just driven past because maybe they didn't get that information in time, or maybe the information is just it's just wrong. I mean, if you're a witness in the middle of a violent act, you may get some details a little bit off. It happens. So we've got situations where we've seen footage where just for example, an apartment complex, someone was shooting at the apartment complex and was literally hiding in between buildings as police were arriving. And you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. It's one of those situations where when you look back at the footage, you're like, man, I can't believe he was right there. So in terms of officer safety, we're doing things in real time that in the moment, there's nothing going on, for instance, like just a basic traffic stop. But should something happen, for instance, if the officer needs help, we'll be watching potentially. And if they're in a situation or a position where they can't relay the fact that they need help, in theory, we're watching and we can say, hey, dispatch, please get officer such and such some backup or something like that. And then just, your basic situational awareness for kind of the examples that I just mentioned. If you've got a response to a scene, and it would be nice to know what you were getting yourself into. And then on the flip side, sometimes people report that a crime is happening when actually a crime isn't happening. Perhaps someone reports someone with a gun or something like that, and we can clearly see that it isn't a gun or something like that. So it's nice to know that you're getting yourself into something, or that maybe you can kind of approach it a little bit differently because what was being reported is not actually the case. So it kind of goes both ways.
Right. So, Sergeant Todd, is there like an incident specifically that you can think of that, the Real-Time Crime Center was instrumental in helping, like possibly like a hit and run or something like that?
Countless numbers of them, but
Okay.
Sergeant McLaughlin was talking about the officer safety, officer awareness part of what we do as far as providing video to them or providing information to them while they're on scene. One that I can think of off the top of my head was an individual who got into a fight with his girlfriend and another female in a car. During the fight, he pulled a gun out and shot into the air. You probably remember this one.
Yeah, I do.
Shot into the air. Surprisingly, the two girls didn't seem too affected by it, but the mother came out of one of the girls, called the police department, reported it, and said, hey, he just shot into the air, and they got into a fight, this, that, and the other. Our officers get there, and nobody wants to tell them anything. And so we actually watched all of this on video from this apartment complex and reported this to the officers. They detained the individual with the gun. He had left it in the car. They went and got a search warrant for the car based on all the information that we provided and the video, and located the firearm inside the vehicle and charged him with the appropriate charges. So I thought that was a pretty good example of the Real-Time Crime Center providing information and officers being able to act on it in real time while they're out there and using all the information available to them to arrest somebody who could potentially in the future have caused more harm. Luckily, he didn't shoot anybody, but he shot into the air, and he made his intentions known that if we're going to get into a fight, I'm going to use the firearm for some reason.
Wow.
And so that's just one example. We have countless other examples, probably that we
Countless other success stories.
Yes,
That's what
yeah.
we call it,
Yep.
right? Success stories.
success stories. Absolutely.
We know as well that you all have a program that citizens can get involved with as well, in order to help solve certain cases. Can you tell us about Connect Columbus?
Sure. Yeah, it is Connect Columbus, connectcolumbus.org. And back a couple years ago, we started a collaborative project with, it's now owned by Axon, a company called Fusus, where we are able to either integrate cameras or be aware of the presence of cameras. So generally when we're talking about the citizens of Columbus, just your, regular citizen like myself who may have some doorbell cameras or surveillance cameras on our home, we ask people to go to connectcolumbus.org to register their cameras. And what that means is that you're just making us aware that you have them. We can't stream them. We can't connect to them. It's just a matter of awareness. And the way that helps is, imagine you've got a crime that it's occurred in a neighborhood or just anywhere. What officers or detectives would customarily do is go door to door. It's called a knock and talk or a canvass. We just knock on doors and ask people, hey, did you see anything? Did you hear anything? Oh, by the way, you got your surveillance cameras. Would you mind sharing footage with us? And so what connectcolumbus.org allows us to do is we still do those things that I just mentioned, but imagine you're not home, but you'd be willing to help, whether you're a citizen or a business owner. We can now ask you digitally, hey, can you look at your cameras and see if you got any footage that you can maybe help us out with? And then they can send it to us digitally. So we can kind of do what we typically call essentially a digital canvas on top of the regular knock and talk. So there's two sides of connectcolumbus.org. It's that, where people just kind of register cameras, and then the other side of it is where maybe a business, for instance, wants to take it that extra step further and actually register their cameras and actually share the cameras themselves with the crime center and do what Sergeant Todd was talking about earlier, where we could hypothetically pull up a business's cameras in real time and take a look at what's going on out there in the event of an incident. But again, just to reiterate, citizen cameras, that's not possible.
Right. Okay. And for those who are thinking, oh, Big Brother, what do y'all need with all of these cameras? Like, what do you have to say to that, Sergeant Todd? I mean, like, I know you mentioned that
Sure.
we can't go through and check your cameras at home or anything like that, but what do you say for people who are concerned about the whole Big Brother theory?
So, one thing I like to say is that we don't have time to pay attention to our regular.
Can you repeat that part?
we just do not have time to pay attention to what all of our regular non-criminal citizens are doing every day on our cameras. As interesting as that might sound, to be able to do that, we just don't have time. We're not going to do that. We do watch a good bit of our cameras, but they're mostly for things happening like in real time, crimes or traffic accidents. We provide a large number of traffic accident videos per week. And then over the weekends, when we come back to weekdays, we provide even more. But the big brother part of it, my thing is, if you're not a criminal, don't worry about it. If you are a criminal, you probably should worry about it.
That part.
And you should keep your crime out of Columbus.
There you go.
So that's what I like to say. But yeah, for your normal citizens, we don't have time. And I did want to add something earlier that I thought about with the businesses and the efficiency and the importance of businesses being a part of our crime center. When it comes to getting video, if the business is integrated into our crime center, we are the ones pulling the video. So if a crime happens at your business and we pull the video, we're the ones that go to court. We're the ones that have to explain the video and everything. That keeps the business, the employee or the business owner, whoever has pulled the video from the business, that keeps them out of court. It essentially cuts out the middleman. And we are kind of the liaison between the business and the investigators in providing what information, video related, they need. So I think that's kind of important for anyone who might be on the fence of whether they want to want their business integrated into our systems. We keep you out of court. You might not even hear from us unless your business is specifically a victim of that crime.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they want to integrate their cameras into our real-time crime center, would they also go to connectcolumbus.com to get that done?
Yes.
Did I say connectcolumbus.com?
Yes.
.org.
.org. Yeah.
.org. My bad. So our real-time crime center, as it stands right now, we have analysts inside there who are considered I say civilian, but we call them professional staff. Right? So tell us about their roles in the real-time crime center.
So going back to the, I guess, infancy, for lack of better words, of the real-time crime center, really just started off with a singular sergeant, Randy Keel, who retired several years ago and unfortunately passed away. When he retired, and Sergeant Todd could probably speak to his part more than me, of course, but he took his place when Randy Keel retired, and it was literally just Sergeant Todd looking over a small network of cameras. Since then, the network of cameras has grown, as you can probably imagine. shortly after him joining, I joined along because you quickly find out that the particular line of work that we're in requires more than just one set of hands and eyes. So it was, for a little while, it was just Sergeant Todd and I. We were doing the best that we could. I think we did a really good job with what we could, given the amount of time that we could do. But just to kind of give you an idea, back when it was just him and I, a lot of times it was really just kind of detectives that we were providing footage to. We quickly transitioned into trying to make sure that we were offering footage to patrol officers as well. But we very quickly discovered that, hey, this unit would really benefit from having a civilian staff. With the amount of cameras that we have, the amount of technology that we have, we can handle a whole lot more if we have civilians working. So now we have 4 civilian analysts that work in the crime center that basically do what Sergeant Todd and I were doing. But now they're just absolutely an invaluable resource, because the number of cameras that we have access to, the amount of technology that we piggyback off of to assist officers, detectives, and the fire department, it's grown by leaps and bounds, and there's things coming down the pipeline that will make it grow even more. So you had back when we were doing just ourselves, just for perspective, probably maybe around 20 to 40 what we call video requests, where we assisted in some way on a case, and it's ballooned to probably between 400 to 500 a month, whereas it was around 20 to 30 a month. So you can kind of see, the more people you add, the more attention we can give a case.
You all are rocking it out down in the real-time crime center, and so I know Randy Keel, the real-time crime center was dedicated in his name, but there are many other people who paved the way for us to have the real-time crime center downstairs. But for the most part, I think that it's great. I think that you all are doing a great job, you and all the analysts down there. And I can't wait to see what else it grows into. As if we need more growth, right? No, I'm kidding. But 2 things. Something that you two also have in common is you all are also part of the drone unit. Tell us about that. I'll let you go.
Okay.
You're sitting over there quiet.
I'm usually the quiet one. So we've had some semblance of a drone unit since about 2018, 2019. It has grown from just a couple of people to maybe 5 to, what do we have, 7, maybe even 8.
I think it's 8 now. Yeah.
We have 8 members of the drone team.
Are y'all adding more? I feel like I just saw an email.
We're always trying to add more.
I got
More the merrier, right? But our drones classically have been used for accident reconstructions, search and rescue, various other instances. But for the most part, up until recently, that's what they've been used for. I believe we've flown to maybe a call or 2, but like Sergeant McLaughlin hinted at earlier, we have big things on the horizon. And if anybody's paying attention to the city council meetings, we have a drone as a first responder on the way, where we will send. The drone will act as kind of like a miniature helicopter with a camera on it that we send to a call before responding officers get there, so that we can relay any important information to them. And so it's just kind of like a mobile camera for us to use now. We won't have to rely so heavily on. We still will rely on our intersection cameras or business cameras that are integrated into the system, but we will be using our drones way more often.
Yeah. And it's in drone as first responders. It's still in its very infancy stages, yes. Correct? All right. So one thing that I thought was pretty neat, and not a lot of people will find this like cool, but I do. Okay. So you all were practicing one day, and y'all were like clearing a house. Was it a house and a car with a drone. And I said, well, dang, like, how are y'all able to maneuver like something like that in such a small space? Like, I can't be on the drone team, the drone unit, because I'd crush everything that you all have, you know?
You'd be surprised.
It's good to have like a video game
surprised.
background
It
when you're
helps.
flying one of those drones.
Oh, I mean, does Sega count? Am I telling my age?
I would say it counts.
It counts. I'm sure there's some good flying there.
So, how do y'all like deal with training for that? I mean, I always find it interesting, but I just
Candidly, flying drones has gotten easier since if you go back 10 years, you probably would, if you watch someone fly a drone, you probably should be impressed that they were able to keep it off the ground and not crashing into a tree. Nowadays, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you kind of have to try to crash it. We've had dealings and dealing with different vendors selling us drones, and they say go ahead and crash it, and me and Max are like, are you sure? And we go ahead and try, and sure enough, it doesn't succeed. Now, have we crashed drones? Yes, we have, because it's just a matter of technology and human error and stuff like that. But for the most part, anybody can learn how to do it. Now, it does help to have a technology background. Sergeant Todd was kind of joking, but probably halfway serious, that if you're one who plays video games, you're going to adapt to it pretty quickly. So with just flying drones in general, if you have that kind of background, you're going to be able to pick it up relatively quickly. And then thinking forward to the drone as a first responder program, same kind of thing. You're going to be flying a drone remotely in a room or an office or something like that. And so it's going to be really helpful to have that kind of background. But there's licensing that you get with the FAA and stuff like that. So we have all of our paperwork and ducks in a row. But essentially, it's a teachable skill. Most people can learn it.
nice.
So just to real quick add on to the training part of it, a lot of our training comes from real world scenarios
Right.
that we have either experienced or have been, pitched to us to say, hey, have you used a drone for this?
Yeah.
And then we take it to a training scenario and
Yep.
work on it that way. So like the clearing of vehicles or houses, that's a real thing where we would, again, going back to officer safety, I would much rather try and clear a home for like an actual real world scenario, a search warrant. I would much rather send in a drone and have a person inside that house that we don't know is in there destroy that drone than attack an officer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have actually we've had a couple situations where both myself and Sergeant Todd and other members of our drone team have had to take drones into a live situation where you go into the house and our officers are very brave and everything, but there is a human element to it. When you enter an unknown structure and you're dealing with someone who might be armed, and rightfully so, there's a little bit of hesitation when you round that corner, and you approach it very tactically. Not to say that we don't do that with the drone, but candidly, we're not right there, and we can just kind of have that drone round the corner with little fear. And is there a potential cost to replacing the drone if it gets broken? It's a whole lot better to replace the have to deal with losing an officer, for instance.
Absolutely. So basically, what y'all are saying is that y'all can train an old Sega girl like me.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we
definitely can. Yeah.
could just go ahead and schedule another podcast and show you flying it next time, just to prove a point.
I'm not opposed to that. I'm gonna see what Chief Mathis has to say about it. So talk to us about like how long you've been with the department, Sergeant Todd.
I have been with the department since 2009.
2009. What units have you worked in?
Patrol, and then I went to Special Operations where I worked Vice and Narcotics for 7 years, and then got promoted out, went back to Patrol for a very brief time, and then got moved into the Real-Time Crime Center.
I'm going to ask you to do something for me. You got to tell me which one is your favorite.
Which one's my favorite? Well, currently, I mean, if Real-Time Crime Center is my favorite because I think it's just I like to say, and I'm stealing this from another agency. We're on the tip of the spear when it comes to technology right now and innovation for departments. Not a lot of departments have a Real-Time Crime Center.
Right.
It's a growing thing. There are it's catching on, but I think the Real-Time Crime Center is making a really big difference, and I like being a part. It touches every single other unit in our department, from violent crimes to property crimes to our drug unit, the special operations, even down to our public relations. It touches every single part of the department, and I like that. I like being in that kind of support role and helping every single part of the department. I feel like when I was in the special operations unit, there's a lot of camaraderie. I miss some of that camaraderie, but I still have all those friends that I made in that unit. I really enjoyed my time in there, but when I moved on, it was time to move on, and the Real-Time Crime Center is now my new favorite. So
I got you.
if I had to play favorites, it's Real-Time Crime Center.
I got you. And you're also like our in-house IT person too. You too, Sergeant McLaughlin.
He's actually got an IT background.
Yeah,
Well, you do now too.
Well, yeah, both of you do. So how about you? How long have you been with us at Team CPD?
Since 2010. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've also done a number of different things as well. I did the bicycle patrol unit. I did that for a few years. Ended up, I never thought I would, but I ended up transitioning into the motor squad unit, which for our city, the motor squad unit, the guys on the motorcycles and gals on the motorcycles, we obviously traffic enforcement is a big factor, but also fatality and serious injury investigations. So that was a big portion of my career back then. And then, like Sergeant Todd, I got promoted out of motor squad to sergeant, did patrol sergeant for a little while, and then kind of the same with Sergeant Todd. They figure out that you have some kind of tech experience, and they want to make sure that they're putting the right people in those roles. So that's how I made my way over into the Real-Time Crime Center. And like Sergeant Todd said, my prior career before policing was in IT. So my careers kind of come full circle because, or my careers have kind of come full circle because when I was in IT, it ended up transitioning into information security, and just kind of, I wouldn't say coincidentally, but for lack of better words, coincidentally, I started dealing with surveillance cameras and stuff like that towards the end of that career. And so I kind of had this ambition of hoping that maybe I could take technology and apply it to law enforcement, and I kind of have. I kind of joke, and we kind of both joke that we're really kind of IT guys with a gun at this point. But obviously there is an enforcement aspect to our job as well. But it's a really rewarding career because we get to make a difference, and I think every arm of the police department makes a difference. But like he said, to be connected to literally every arm just makes it that extra bit rewarding for sure.
Right. Yeah, before we came up here, and I just happened to notice the patch on your arm sleeve, I was like, you were in a motor squad? I swear you were in the middle of telling me something so important, but I feel like everyone who I've met at the department, I've always asked them, okay, so what units did you work in? And that's the first thing I asked. I've never asked you that. And so I think that's what, it took me by surprise, but just to think about it now, you have to show me pictures of your motor days.
For sure, yeah.
But is there anything else you all want to add about the Real-Time Crime Center and you all being part of the brains behind it? Anything that people should know?
You want anything? Add anything, Max?
Just don't forget about connectcolumbus.org.
Yeah.
Registering your home cameras is very easy, and like Sergeant McLaughlin said earlier, it doesn't give us access to your cameras.
Right.
We don't want access to your home cameras. The only thing we want from your home cameras is if a crime happens in your neighborhood, that you just report it to us, or provide us with any kind of relevant video. And on the business side of it, the integration into the Real-Time Crime Center is very simple. Sergeant McLaughlin and I can do it, or we have a contracted company that helps us do it. And like I said earlier, if there's video that we need from your business, if we get it, it keeps you and your employees out of court.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll add this too, because you asked if we had anything to add. Our unit is I would say it's very transparent, which is really good when it comes to a unit that's kind of one of the sole functions is surveillance cameras because of the kind of that cliche term you hear, Big Brother. We're very transparent, and we've hosted many tours in the past, continue to do that. So especially for businesses that might potentially want to integrate and just kind of see what that actually looks like, because it's really easy for us to say, hey, this is something you can do. But if you want to see what that actually looks like, you're welcome to coordinate with us to kind of make that happen. We have a shared email address would probably be the best to use, and that's rtcc@columbusga.org. RTCC being Real Time Crime Center. So you could potentially reach out to that email address, and we could potentially schedule something and get something to happen.
Great. Well, let me be the first to apologize because I've never sent an email to that email address. And every time I have a guest in the building, I'm like, oh, y'all have to come see our real-time crime center. I just pop up down there.
We're used to that.
Sorry.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, we definitely welcome those walk-in.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of people have to really see it to believe it. You know what I mean? And I've always been so amazed by the work that you all do. And then, so every time I get a chance to show you all off, I do it.
Yeah. We appreciate it.
Of course. But thank you all so much for being here today on Beyond the Badge. This is exactly the things that we want to do, just to sit down and have open and candid conversation about the work that you all are doing. And again, I say you all are doing an amazing job. Keep it up. And I don't know, maybe we have to get Captain Farmer in here to see what I can pick from his brain.
He would love that. He would love it.
He would. So tune in next time. We'll be back with another episode of Beyond the Badge.